In this video, we're going to be talking about 3 things that can increase your views and ultimately increase your click-through rate on your videos. I'm going to be sharing some tips for titles, as well as some of the lessons we've learned on thumbnails as well. And if you just want beginner and basic stuff, this video isn't for you. But ultimately, if you want some real tactical, advanced YouTube tips, then stick around until the end because this is going to be a super powerful video. Our premise today is, does changing the video title or thumbnail affect views? Does changing your video title or thumbnail affect views? After you upload a brand new video, and do you pivot after an hour, a couple hours to improve performance? Or even a video that is weeks old, months old, or even years old, can you go back and improve the performance of the video by changing the title or the thumbnail? Today's video is brought to you and sponsored by vidiq.com/think, but more on them later. And let's dive into part 1 of 3 parts, the power of changing the title of an existing video. Let me tell you a quick story. And so a few weeks ago, we uploaded a video over on Think Media. I recorded this Coffee with Cannell show on our Think Media podcast. In the second half of it, we have a guest today and we do some coaching. We're also going to do some Q&A. But ultimately, we uploaded this video, and you can see that this is the title: How to Make $1,000 a Month with Affiliate Marketing on YouTube. You can see YouTube says fewer viewers are choosing to watch this video, fewer regular viewers. So performance is down on the video. You can see that the impression click-through rate is 3.8%, and it's also gray. It's not overperforming, it's underperforming how it normally would perform. And so after this video was out for maybe 4 hours and 17 minutes, as you can see here, a pivot was made. And you can see on screen where that pivot was made, performance was altered for sure. The arc of the blue line was going to underperform. It was going to undershoot that gray range. That gray range where the view performance is kind of like the average performance on your channel from a low or high range in terms of view, how many views the video gets, based on your last 10, as well as your total channel average across videos. Of course, your goal is to create a banger that outperforms your typical video, or to at least just perform as well. But this video was underperforming. But when the change was made, you could see that for sure it went from kind of a trajectory like this to boom, it started to go up. And so what was that attributed to? Just another screen to look at is the YouTube Studio app. If you haven't downloaded on your phone the YouTube Studio app, it's different than the main YouTube app. So you consume and watch YouTube on your phone with the YouTube app. Make sure you get that update it. Always update your app, but also get the Studio app, and that continues to improve. You get more data, and you can see here again, you can see that blue line trajectory on screen here of kind of going flat, and then boom, not only does it increase, but now we also see it cutting through the gray typical performance. See that by the time you reach the right side of the screen, it is now reaching into average, and even above average if that blue line continues. So the thing to notice here is that if we have a theory like, does changing the title or the thumbnail improve performance, we don't want to base it off emotions. We don't want to base it off just like, I feel like it did. It kind of seems like it did. But the cool thing about YouTube is it's all about numbers. It's all about math. And after doing this test, I was able to see that 2% click-through rate was improved. I don't think I wrote the notes down here. They didn't transfer. Maybe I have it on this next screen or the previous one. But ultimately, I want to say it dropped all the way down to like a 2.5 and went up to a 4.3 or whatever. So it actually improved the click-through rate by 2%, simply changing just the title. And I think I have clarity on that. I'll come back to those exact numbers in just a second. So here's the process. So what did we do? How did we go? And I say we, I used to do this as an individual, right? But now I'm talking of the Think Media team. And so in this case, Steph got involved. He's kind of focuses on our Think Media podcast. And then Nolan got involved. So we just had a couple people. We're talking in Slack. And it started with me seeing the video underperforming. I think step number one is to know, man, I think this video could do better. When you get to a place where you release a YouTube video and you're like, man, what could be wrong with this? Is there something wrong with the title? Is there something wrong with the thumbnail? What could I maybe do to improve this? And so I got to work and I went to, my thought was the title could be improved and could be clearer. So this was I started typing and I used this website. You can see it's called Monster Insights, that actually gives you a headline rating score to kind of brainstorm a couple different titles. They all rated a 93, which is incredibly high. The 76 one wasn't very great, but you could see, again, the original video was like how to make $1,000 a month with affiliate marketing on YouTube. Now, from a headline score standpoint, that was a 93. It's kind of tough to be throwing these tools at you because somebody might go, oh, does 93 mean it's going to work? You got to have like a deeper level of intuition than that. I think it takes a while to cultivate that, but it's like you use the tool, but you also have to like understand humans. Like you use the tool, but you got to like cultivate your marketing knowledge and your psychology knowledge. Because if it was all just about how much this website scored it, well, they're all equal. So how would you decide? So I'll kind of talk through our process, but there was how to make $1,000 a month with affiliate marketing, how to make your first $1,000 with affiliate marketing on YouTube, how to make your first $1,000 on YouTube in the next 30 days, removing affiliate marketing, how to earn $1,000 on YouTube in the next 30 days without AdSense, how to reach a specific desire in a specific amount of time without you're not monetized yet or something, and that's searchable, how to make $1,000 a month on YouTube without AdSense, and then the really short one too, how to make $1,000 a month without AdSense. Okay, you see that. So this was a Slack thread, and I kind of started by, when I do this often, we release a new video, I see it, I feel it, and I start brainstorming, title, thumbnail concepting, title flip-flopping. And so we started this conversation, and a ways down the conversation, Steph's like, this one's good too, how to make your first $1,000 on YouTube in the next 30 days. Now, this was a pretty major pivot, but here's one of the most significant reasons why I believe performance increased. And all that was changed was the title, not the thumbnail in this case, was because affiliate marketing. By saying affiliate marketing, one, it's kind of confusing. Two, people might be like, network marketing? Is this an MLM? Like what? If anything creates friction or anything makes the viewer, maybe you have a stigma against affiliate marketing. Oh, I don't even want to watch. I've tried that before. I don't think it works. Whereas by pivoting to how to make your first $1,000 in the next 30 days, the good thing about that title is it opens up questions. Well, what is the method? What is the strategy? That sounds interesting. And so actually, rather than giving away the vehicle, in this case, could be affiliate marketing. Another way to do it could be brand deals. Another way to do it could be more monetization. So there's not lots of different ways to do it. But one of the reasons why I believe performance increased measurably was actually by making more mystery in the title. And we can debate these things endlessly, because originally the way this was positioned, which was actually, I think, cooked up by Nolan or the team, and they debate on Title Crew, was there's nothing wrong with doing affiliate marketing in the title because it could be very searchable. People are looking for, teach me how to do affiliate marketing. They're aware of that. That's great. But then the other opportunity is they're not aware of, or the other opportunity is, I'm just looking for all the opportunities. Teach me different opportunities, and you're going to avoid creating friction. So let me summarize. Here's some takeaways. The pivot in the title was broader appeal because it didn't limit it just to affiliate marketing. It was a clear promise. It actually added, as opposed to make $1,000 a month, it was how to make $1,000 in the next 30 days, which was, it's a very powerful, a specific result in a specific amount of time. And then it removed friction because, again, now that affiliate marketing is not there, there's no friction. Like, I need to figure out what's on the other side of this title. What are the ways? Maybe it's a way I don't know, which at least, what are we talking about? How to improve your CTR, your click-through rate. So you're getting the click, and now it's up to the video to deliver on the results ultimately. And so that is the power of changing a title. And this is just part one of this training. I'm going to get into these other parts. but I want to give a shout out to our sponsor vidIQ today, and you can get a trial of vidIQ, vidIQ.com/think. For just $1, you could get access to the boost plan. And one of the coolest things about vidIQ is their title tools. And so a lot of times people use the vidIQ Vision, which gives you on the right side of your screen a lot of data and really cool resources that are embedded. If you use Google Chrome, you install vidIQ Vision, and you might as well grab this too. You can always grab the free version as well. But for example, one of the cool things when you're logged into the web platform is you can get AI title recommendations. So if you actually did want to talk about affiliate marketing, let's say, and you just typed in like affiliate marketing, it's a really powerful tool to get you started with some great titles. And we're seeing the power of a title here: Unveiling the Untold Secrets of Affiliate Marketing, Escape the 9-to-5 Grind, How to Skyrocket Your Income with Affiliate Marketing. And you might say affiliate marketing for beginners, because that's where your video was going to go, that kind of direction. Get title ideas. Avoid these 5 common mistakes in affiliate marketing. I should use that one, because I've definitely got 5 mistakes that I could teach on. So pretty cool. And that's just one of so many tools inside of vidIQ. And so shout out to them bringing you this episode of Coffee with Cannell today. Really appreciate vidIQ. vidIQ.com/think to get a 30-day trial of vidIQ's boost plan for just $1. But let's keep it moving here as we are unpacking the power of changing the title and improving your click-through rate. And so back to now let's fast forward to the future. This screenshot was taken yesterday. You can see the videos it's a little tough to see, but there is a arc up when I changed the title. Now the video went to medium performance to a little bit above average performance, which is cool. Not only that, it continues to get views for weeks now, and I think months and potentially years to come. 74 new subscribers, $219, all from changing the title, right? A big idea. And so at the beginning, I talked about these 3 things we all need to know in terms of like really how YouTube works, how to improve our click-through rate. And a couple things you need to know is, number one, this only works if you're getting impressions. So some people say, Sean, should I change my title? They have a brand new channel. They upload a video. It gets no views. Should I change my title? It still gets no views. The problem is, if you're not getting impressions, changing anything about it is not going to shift things that much. So essentially, for this to work, your channel needs a little bit of momentum. But here's the good news. If your video is getting 1,000 impressions, and I'll show you in a second how you can see that, and you have a 3% click-through rate, then that's 30 people clicking. If you change it to a 5% click-through rate, that's going to be 50 people clicking. Very powerful. So the next thing is going to be your click-through rate. So if the video, number one, has to be getting impressions, and I could do some Q&A later about anything. I just might bring up a lot of questions. Then it's going to get a click-through rate, and then also it's going to lead to average view duration, right? And so one of the things you can't change once the video is out, obviously, is the video itself. So the problem is, our ultimate goal is not to put lipstick on a pig. What do I mean? If the video is already poor, but you're like, man, I can make the thumbnail and title way better, well, people still actually have to watch the video. And in some cases, your title and your thumbnail can improve average view duration in the sense that if they're more honest or they're more accurate or they set expectations better, they actually can increase average view duration. Conversely, if you like clickbait and you sort of are deceptive or you don't set expectations well, you can get the click, but still your click-through rate's going to drop because average view duration suffers because you trick people to click, but it doesn't actually prove to work because they don't actually consume the video. Pretty geeky, but let's keep it going. And where does this come from? So we're going to go deeper so that you can really make sense of this. But this comes from YouTube itself in like their funnel of how YouTube works and how we get views. It's impressions and how they lead to watch time. So on Think Media in the last 28 days, my main YouTube channel, 34.8% of YouTube, 43.9 million impressions. So again, the more impressions you have, the more these little tweaks matter. You can see that on average that leads to a 7.1% click-through rate. And then ultimately, that's how we end up getting the views. So basically, can changing your title or thumbnail get you more views? 100%, for sure it can. And we'll dive into more tips in now part 2, the power of changing the thumbnail. So in the last one, all we changed was the title, which is pretty cool because that's relatively easy to change. However, you may have noticed, you're like, oh, I didn't know you went that deep. I brainstormed 10 new titles to kind of look at the differences. And it is cool. It's especially powerful if you have someone to debate with. This is why we launched a new thing called VRA Elite, and why people love our VRA Elite program, because they actually have someone to talk with. Like I've got Steph and Nolan and Kyle, Drea. And so we have like our own little mastermind inside of a Slack thread. Like that's why we realized a lot of people in our community want to get like somebody they can bounce titles off, bounce thumbnails off. But the second thing is the power of changing a thumbnail. And in the last couple of weeks, one pivot I made was this one YouTube secret changed my life forever. This was a podcast episode. This was the original thumbnail. Now, I think this thumbnail is pretty good, but here was what made me want to change it. One, it felt the same. I was like, this is kind of like the same thing we've been doing lately. I get the unlock YouTube thing, but like, is that actually super clear? Okay, I'm being told to see. It's good, actually. Really, I can't even critique it. It's a great thumbnail. But here was my thinking and why I changed it. So I changed it to the thumbnail you can see in the upper left-hand corner, which, by the way, ended up being just a phone photo right here where I'm sitting recording this episode. And that was it. It's just a shot of my iPhone. I set the timer and took the photo. Now, mind you, my office is kind of cool, and I've got some LED lights there. And I think the big key here is I'm holding a silver play button. And that in and of itself would be the desire. So you're tapping into in the thumbnail, like, what is this one secret changed my life? A lot of people are ambitious to get the silver play button. But what you can see here, and maybe this is the one I actually wrote good notes on, or they just did not make it to my PowerPoint notes. So again, I want to say you could see there was a direct uptick in the click-through rate. So if you're in your analytics, you go to the reach page, you can see your impressions click-through rate. So how many impressions is the video getting? The click-through rate boosted. And again, I want to say this was like a 2% increase in click-through rate from 5.5 or 5.3 to 7.3. And boom, thumbnail pivoted. That was the only thing changed, not the title. And the results were improved. So the takeaways were audience desire. The previous one didn't have the silver play button in it. So what's the desire of the audience that would be consuming this video? The pattern interrupt. Every once in a while, there's a good book by Seth Godin called like Marketers Ruin Everything, or he's taught on that before. And what it essentially kind of means is in social media and in content creation and in marketing, a lot of times we just do like something starts to work, but then everybody does it and they do it a lot and they do it for a long time. So it stops working. When it comes to almost anything we do, there's like, even they call it ad blindness. Like maybe originally when you opened up email in high school, do you remember your high school email address? I literally still have mine. I have a Hotmail. It's like my main address. I'm at the bank, like doing escrow payments. True story. Like I'm like, Sean, Hotmail, and I'm like, what am I, 16? Like, what is happening? True story. And maybe you sign up for your Yahoo email address or whatever. And what's the point? I don't even know where I was going with that. It's too funny to get distracted. Audience desire, pattern. Oh yeah. And banner advertising and email. So you might remember you get email, and email is amazing. Like, oh my gosh, I'm getting emails. Like you're emailing your like high school crush and you're like, this is so cool. Chat rooms, AOL chat rooms. All right. And so ultimately though, there was like banner advertising right inside of emails, banners at the top, banners at the right. Well, they call it ad blindness because eventually you get to a place where like, yes, there's advertising there, but you don't even see it. It just becomes noise. It just becomes, well, I think that's important for us to consider in YouTube as well. So one of the reasons why I also wanted to pivot the thumbnail, and it did improve click-through rate, was I just wanted, maybe our thumbnails have they look a certain way for the last little bit. And I was like, I just want to switch it up. And it proved to work. It just looked different. iPhone only, which I think speaks to the power that your smartphone is so powerful. Just learn how to use it and you can make better thumbnails. And ultimately, that was the goal with that. So the takeaways was the audience desires to over play button, the pattern interrupt to like stop something that's unique and different that you don't normally see, and to stop the scroll. Like, wait, was that a mistake? Did he forget to upload the thumbnail? Like, what? And that's all the goal. And then read the title. And again, it paid off. So in part one, we talked about, yes, changing your title can be very powerful. In part two, we talked about changing your thumbnail can also ultimately improve click-through rate. And even a small tweak to your click-through rate can have big results, especially if your video is getting impressions. And learning these skills now, it pays dividends in the long run, because you might be like, my channel is like barely getting any impressions as it is. But you want to develop mastery and skills and excellence in the small things now, because it's like a spiritual principle too. Like if you're faithful with little, you'll be entrusted with much. So there's something about like learning, like thinking big in small places, acting big in small places, dreaming big in small places, not letting your small YouTube channel make you small-minded, but actually developing the mindset of mastery and acting like what if you acted like a pro? Not even faking it, like learn the skills of a pro, the behaviors of a pro, and you implemented the behaviors of a pro repeatedly. Next thing you know, they're like, man, you're a YouTube pro, like, because it ends up, turning into that. So let's go into part number 3 though, and this will get really interesting. Hit like if you've been getting value, and let's talk about the power of changing a thumbnail and or title of your best performing videos, because this will apply to more of us, because you can go back, look at your best performing videos, and let me get to the example I want to show you here. Perfect. Okay, so we're going to use this Think Media podcast video. This video was called How to Grow Your Channel Fast with YouTube Shorts. And let me make sure I can log into the analytics here, because this is something you've probably never seen before and not a lot of people talk about. And so let me tell you the strategy, and then I will show you the results and show you how you can apply this to your channel immediately and start getting better results. So here's the 3 steps. Identify an older video that gets views every month. And if it's 1 or 2 weeks old, it's probably not old enough. If it's over a month old or even multiple months old and it gets views every month, thus go to your real-time views, right, inside of your analytics. 2, change one thing. Don't do 2 things at once. In marketing, we call this split testing. And in a split test, you don't change the thumbnail and the title. You change just the title. You see the results. You go, okay, cool. You make a conclusion. Then you could go back and change the thumbnail, but you don't do 2 things at a time. And in split testing on like a landing page of marketing, there's like the headline, there could be the copy, there could be the images, there could be the website colors, there could be the button colors. When you split test thing, there could be the copy on the buttons. You just change one thing though, because if you change too many variables, and then it mixes, it dilutes the data of your conclusion. You're like, oh, wow, it's performing better, but you're not sure why it's performing better. So you isolate one thing. So you're going to identify an older video that gets views every month. You're going to change one thing, the title or the thumbnail, and then you're going to watch the impressions over the next 3 to 7 days. So this was a video. This is how I would do it. I went into Think Media Podcast real-time views. I found a video. By the way, we're actually talking about making a winner win more, because look, this video is got 81,000 views already. The blue line of view growth is outperforming the typical performance on the channel. Pretty cool. It's 138 days old. Great. So here's now exactly how you would measure this. So you can go into the video. You can go to reach, impressions. It's gotten 1.3 million impressions total across its whole lifetime. It's gotten a 2.9% click-through rate. Now imagine this. Imagine if that was even just 3.1 on 1.3 million impressions. That's a lot more views. Imagine if that was 4% on 1.3. So small tweaks lead to giant peaks. A small tweak to the click-through rate can have leads to significantly more views depending on how many impressions the video is getting. But Sean, how would I measure if I change the thumbnail, whether it's been successful or not. Am I trying to like put a microscope and see if the line moves? No. There's an actual mathematical way to do it. So what you're going to do is you're going to go last 7 days. And what you're going to see on a video like this, that in the last 7 days, click-through rate was 3.3. And you can see that every single day, the video has been ranging. September 12th, when was that? September 12th was a Tuesday. Okay, so views might, even though it's an old video, views might go up. It looks like, impressions go up when we upload new episodes, and we upload new episodes on Tuesday. That's a hypothesis. I'm just guessing. And then they're a little bit higher. Then they dropped. The video also might just be kind of on a decline. So how could we revive this? Okay, so let's say we change one thing. Can I improve this thumbnail? So change the thumbnail. And then wait. And you don't got to wait a week necessarily. You might know in a few hours. But then what you're going to want to see is YouTube serving this to more people or less? Are impressions going up? Or even if impressions are staying the same, is click-through rate going up? So if we change just the thumbnail and then observe it over 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days, and this goes to 4.5, it's when your mind starts to think, drop an emoji if you're like, this is mind explode, because it starts making you dream like, oh my gosh, not only is this video doing this, but if I just change this one thing and it improves performance, then over time, this video might get thousands of more views. So this would be improving your winner. And you could do the exact same thing with the title. You could change just the title and see if things stay the same. And so what I'm looking for, this is the big key, is I'm looking for a video that's getting consistent impressions. Because if the video is dead and you change the thumbnail, then you're not measuring it against anything. And if the video is dead, here's a mistake you could also make. And you go share it on your community tab or like email your list to go watch a video. Well, you're bringing traffic from external. What we want is we want a video that's getting impressions based on the YouTube algorithm. This is getting suggested videos as the #1 traffic source, and search is the second traffic source. So this is already getting consistent impressions. Change the title. Boom. Oh, sick. Let's leave it. Now you might say, well, what if it actually goes down? What if the click-through rate goes down? What if impressions start to drop? Flip it back. Just remember what your prior title was, and it'll at least revert and balance out to what it was previously. Or try another one. Try another split test, another test. And what you ultimately could do is then see that, okay, cool. Now I have verified that this thumbnail performs better. And now I have verified that this title, after the thumbnail's verified, then you could also do the title as well. So that would be up to you. And so as we land the plane, this is the process for doing this. You're going to identify an older video that gets views every single month. Change one thing, the title or the thumbnail. Watch impressions over the next 3 to 7 days or less once you can verify. And then you want to prove your test is right or wrong. You might want to be like, okay, cool. Click-through rate went up. Impressions went up. Then from there, you can execute and either revert if you're wrong. And no harm, no foul. Go back to the previous thumbnail. No harm, no foul. Go back to the previous title. And 80-20 rule would suggest that you actually making your best videos win more is probably the best use of your energy, rather than like going back into your library and trying to revive videos that are completely dead or just that have not proven to be effective at all. This takes a little bit of intuition though, because maybe you realize you made a mistake. A lot of people in our community kindly said have such bad titles and thumbnails and positioning and psychology around their videos that the video was doomed from the start because you titled and thumbnailed it so bad. Maybe the content's great. I just did coaching for 2 hours yesterday with a higher level group. And these were some very smart people who had terrible titles and thumbnails. So I was like, man, we got to at least get like the basics right. So there's definitely some opportunity to improve there. But even if they're pretty good and the video is doing pretty well, there could be some opportunity to improve it. If you got value out of this, smash like. And if you have some questions, we can get to your questions here in a little bit. We'll star those. And I'm sure there's a lot of questions related to these types of granular, geeky things. Happy to talk about any of it. I want to say cheers. We're going to have Brian on the show here in a second, but Coffee with Cannell is back. And I'm sipping on some Ethiopia coffee from Presta. I believe they're based in Arizona. This is the Coffee with Cannell show. Yes, Sean Cannell here, Rhymes with YouTube channel. This is the Coffee with Cannell show, helping you build your influence, build a profitable YouTube channel, and giving you raw and real advice, especially with the day like today. David said I changed the thumbnail on a video that had a 2% CTR. After 30 to 40 days, now 70 days, it has a 10% CTR. Great story, David. Thanks for sharing that. And again, further confirmation that taking some time to look at your past videos and improve them can have a significant impact on the future of those videos. And that's a huge jump from 2% to 10%. Great job. Well, I'm fired up for our coaching session today. We have the experimental aircraft channel coming back on Coffee with Cannell. It's been years. Maybe the pandemic was the last time we were hanging out. So I want to welcome Brian to the show. Brian, how's it going?
Great. Hey, Sean. Good to see you and hear you again.
Fired up to be hanging out. And I think this is going to be a deep conversation a lot of people are going to benefit from, because I think I happened by, I want to shout out everybody in our community, Facebook, Twitter. I hover around places, our team and I do, and we try to get to as many comments and replies as possible. But I did see your comment and I was able to reply and be like, okay, yeah. And you mentioned, maybe tell us your situation. You mentioned that views maybe fall off, or you felt like you need to reinvent, or the algorithm has changed. And we're going to kind of unpack maybe some ways to innovate again. And, but yeah, let us know kind of where you've been, where you are, and what's happening.
Sure. Thanks. First off, just to share with everybody, though, that Sean is watching, because he put up a sponsored ad within like 30 seconds. I commented and he actually responded back. So that's why we're here talking today. But yeah, we talked a couple years ago, a little bit more in our genesis, if you will. And here we are. We just celebrated our 5-year anniversary of launching the channel. It was July 5 years ago. Been doing this full time for 4 years now. And what I wrote to Sean is, in biz 5 years, 4 years full time, suddenly feel like the whole game has changed overnight. And what do I mean by that is that the views seem to be hovering around 5 to 10K. It seems like the 20 to 30 or 50,000 ones are gone or something like that. Social media post interaction seems to be down a little bit. Some of our trying to gain new sponsors through soliciting seems to be slow to respond. And I just feel like YouTube shines the limelight on you whenever it wants and then goes away. So a few things to unpack there, but basically I feel like after 5 years, I should know more and have this figured out by now. Being that I'm doing this full time and providing for my family, like many of us are, and so forth. But I'm just at a loss, Sean. I just feel like maybe the goalposts have moved. I mean, I know YouTube is ever evolving. I see the stuff that you share with your interviews with YouTube and so forth. But yeah, just trying to catch up and stay ahead of the game. We are a super niche channel, as you imagine, with the experimental aircraft, which is a pro and a con. The audience is not as broad, but it's also helped us to gain our followers faster because of less competition. Right, we're at 155 subs, 155K subs now, and but I still feel very much like a small, tiny channel. I got the silver play button. It's like, woohoo! I won. I got the silver play button. I've actually never displayed it, but I have it. So I've been following you since day one. I bought your YouTube secret book, or downloaded the book, and you're in my face every day as I'm working. So I want to go to you as my guru and be like, Sean, help. Where do we go from here?
Yeah. So many factors, Brian, and I appreciate, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate with some of the things you're feeling. Videos that used to break out more consistently, it's all relative to each of our individual channels, but you mentioned 30, 40, 50,000 views a video. And now it seems like those are few and far between. It feels like the whole game has changed. It feels like you thought you had, your YouTube strategy dialed, and now maybe what used to work isn't working right now. And the first thing is you're feeling the same thing that 99% of creators we talk to are feeling. So you're not alone. And I am seeing this basically platform wide, that air quotes views are down, and that it's harder right now, and that breaking through, that it feels like the algorithm changed and the game is changing. Number one, you're not alone. Number two, I think we can address some practical things just for you to consider. One, we've seen this happen a lot. People who especially had a lot of success during the pandemic or started during the pandemic. I don't know if this is just you, but I want to put it out there.
Sure.
Our views doubled during the pandemic. You can go back and look at our 125,000 views a day on Think Media. Lockdown started, 250,000. We didn't do anything different, 250,000. Like, just all of a sudden, I could, if my conclusion was I am a genius. Now, actually, I am a genius, said humbly. But like, I was a genius in getting prepared. Anybody, like, if you're sitting on the sidelines and watching this right now, what makes you look smart is getting videos out there that are ranked and that are ready for, you never know what's going to happen. I never could have known what was going to happen, but turned out I'd been, learning how to swim for 10 years, not realizing the world was going to get flooded. Like, it was good that I was prepared for the flood. But nevertheless, I can't take credit for the fact that external forces gave people a lot of time to not just be at home, but also to have specific questions, to start new hobbies, to look for new side hustles. And thus our views doubled overnight. Well, here's what also has happened though. Life gets busy again. Lockdowns stop. People get busy. I was talking to a friend yesterday, had soccer games and 3 teenagers and all weekend long. So there's there's lots of competing things for people's attention. And there's also seasonality. So things to consider when you feel like your views are going down: seasonality, like macro seasonality, global. I think another thing to consider is we cannot ignore competition. And let me define what I mean. I don't mean necessarily your competitor on YouTube. I mean Kim and Kanye's divorce on HBO Max. I mean PS5 drops in price and people are doing air simulators and going another direction. I mean the competition for people's attention across all OTT platforms, across other social media platforms. YouTube is still the dominant platform, but TikTok takes a lot of people's attention, and not just young people. There's a lot of different podcasts and video podcasts for people to listen to. So the law of diminishing returns is incredibly relevant here. And we're not just competing internally with other YouTube channels, but we're just competing in general. We're competing with even maybe other hobbies. Pickleball, since we talked last, has become a global phenomenon. Maybe someone's like, you know what, I'm not into aircraft anymore. I'm now a pickleball guy. And
That's
like,
crazy,
they're buying
isn't it?
pickleball paddles and buying.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of those things are something to consider. And I'll share a few remedies from my standpoint. But then I want to address like this other idea, and that is putting things in proper perspective. So what can happen is, a couple years ago, when would you say you felt things shift? Like, how long has it been since you were like, it felt a little bit easier to get 50,000 views?
Oh, I don't know exactly. Maybe a year ago, after the pandemic had kind of slowed down and so forth, where it's like, yeah, I feel a little bit like on cruise control, like I got this figured out. Um, and I will admit to you and to everybody watching, there is a point where we are on a weekly upload schedule, right? So coming up with content and ideas every single week for 5 years is a big demand, right? And I probably got a little bit of burnout from that, slightly, because you have to come up with a lot of creativity for 5 years. Instagram posts hasn't been as much as previous, but Facebook and stuff like that is still there. But yes, there is a point, probably about a year ago, that felt a little bit more like cruise control.
So one of the things that can happen for us emotionally as content creators that have been doing this for a long time too, is that we do get comfortable, we get used to the results. And I actually think we start to get a little bit delusional. Here's also what I mean. So this platform, YouTube, has given you the opportunity for free to build up your brand, build up a personal brand, go full time. YouTube is giving you 22,553,000 views. They don't charge you any money, and you've gotten all this exposure. It's completely changed your life. You've gotten all this joy, all these relationships, all of this
Family time.
body of work that has happened.
Yeah.
And at one point, let's say you're getting, 1 million views a month compared to what you're getting now. And now it's dropped, let's call it 1.5. Now it's dropped to only 791,746 views in the last 28 days. And you just came on the Coffee with Cannell show to talk about, woe is me. Life is so hard. I mean, I'm just giving you a hard time. But think about it, right? You came on. My channel's dead. There's no hope. It's a famine. What's wrong? My dog died. They stole my truck and they stole my airplane.
I got a country song coming out soon.
Got a country song. And so, but I mean, this is the kind of perspective. So sometimes even haters, like, cause I'll get haters. Cause obviously we teach YouTube and they'll be like, your views are down. And I'll be like, yeah, everybody's hard. And I'll be like, I get it. You got to innovate. You got to pioneer. But dude, I'm chilling with my 3-year-old and my 1-year-old, man. I mean, I'm working hard, but like, I'm going to put this in perspective. I just made a video. It was a clip from a podcast where I said, I'm sorry, 40 million views a month is not enough for you. And at the time we hit 40 million views a month on Think Media. And somebody was like, what do you know about YouTube? I'm like, you're right. I apologize. I apologize. At 40 million views in a month. Well, I don't know. You're right. I don't know anything. I was like, so I think it's just like putting it in perspective. Like people have, and of course, not all views are the same. There could be shorts views versus longs views. There could be the business model behind. There's the RPM of the channel. There's all, and that's kind of what I was getting at. It was also the iceberg underneath it. So summarizing, I think just putting things back in proper perspective. An adjacent subject matter is this idea of paid advertising. And I saw this years ago for any business owner that has a product or a service or a program that isn't spending at least $1,000 a day in paid advertising has not even entered into modern marketing. Like they don't even understand what is happening in today's world. Henry Ford said the business owner who stops spending money on advertising is like the man who tries to stop a clock to save time. Like you should be a business owner, should have marketing dollars. It's not for everybody because not everyone's selling something. They're going ad revenue, Patreon, or other things. But 99.9% of creators don't have that skill or haven't invested in learning it or haven't built the team. And they're missing out on this major thing. But that's not the point I'm trying to make. The point I'm trying to make is what people don't understand is that 7-8 years ago, paying for advertising on Facebook, Meta, Instagram, TikTok, wherever, was so crazy affordable because big brands and the maturity of those platforms, it was what Gary Vee would call underpriced attention. And it goes up over the years. 4 years ago, it was more expensive, but still insane. Last year, it was more expensive. During the pandemic, everyone went on defense, and it was one of the biggest growth years of Think Media because we're wartime leaders. The whole world got scared, locked down, and moved in fear and went in defense. We went in full offense, and there was a season of shockingly underpriced attention, and perceiving that and hitting the gas. it's kind of a long story to just make the one point. It's 2023. Ad costs are up, but they're going to be even crazier in 5 years, and they're going to be even crazier in 10 years. And so, speaking to your perspective, and this is a very good mindset conversation for everybody in our community, is like even a reframe of you are killing it. Like 5,700 views is phenomenal. If you can work out the math and the economics, obviously you want to get 13,000. And I do have some, these aren't even the tips. It's just the reframe of the mindset of like putting the macro into perspective, that you're getting 800,000 views a month, that you're still impacting people, and that yes, numbers have gone down, but pretty much everybody's numbers have gone down. I'm not prescribing complacency, but I am prescribing contentment. It's weird. I think there could be a tension between we're content but not complacent. That's maybe where I try to live, with just an emotional baseline, like a resiliency. Like it's just like, yeah, it was really cool when it was like super easy to get 150,000 views. But man, 25,000 is pretty cool too. I'm going to keep doing this. And we keep winning, and we keep winning at a big level because of maybe just having this grit. And I think it's like framing, if you got that hunger, if you know what it's like to live in famine, then you're, with any level of abundance, you're happy as a clam. And that's kind of where I sit, where people are like, oh man, it feels like our views are going down. I'm like, yeah, I guess. I mean, 5 million views a month is still pretty sick. Like, you know, and I've lived through enough seasons and cycles where I'm like, another thing's going to come. A lot of people are going to probably give up. This is a season where a lot of people are going to give up. So sometimes it's just your staying power. A lot of people aren't going to innovate. And I'll kick it back to you before we get into like a list of tips. But a lot of people are not going to innovate. They're not going to adapt. They're going to be starved out in some of the circumstances that are happening here. They're not going to endure any kind of YouTube recession or famine. Thus, the opportunity for the people who stick it through is then we'll be back some level where, and just one other quick example, like there's this whole season on Facebook Reels where it was absolute insanity. It was so bonkers for us. We'd get 55K views, 155, 225, 6 million, 5 million, 10 million, 25 million. But one of the things I like to encourage myself while we were going through that is I was like, this isn't going to last. Not in some like negative, depressive view or like, you know, this healthy relationship's not going to last. I'm just like, I'm not going to allow myself to get intoxicated by the dopamine of an algorithmic moment. I'm going to keep myself based in just best practices and best principles. I mentioned it earlier, just becoming a pro and just working, just living the lifestyle and having the habits, routines, and disciplines of a pro in any season. And I found that so far that's made us anti-fragile, and we just haven't lost. We've had ups, downs, maybe a negative month in the P&L. On a macro, nothing but slow and steady wins and growth. So that season has slowed down. It's nothing like it was. But now our Facebook Reels get 2,000, 10,000, 55,000, 176,000, 60,000. One just hit 1 million. It's a lot more rare. So am I going to stop? Well, I am if I was detoxing too hard off of the drugs of the views of yesterday, but I never allowed myself to get addicted or to get delusional. I'm like, this is amazing too. And I can reframe that perspective, and we'll get into some tips. What are your thoughts so far as we've been talking about mindset?
So, yeah, a couple of things there. One, and I appreciate you obviously spending the positive side of this. And yes, Brian, it's like, are you bragging or complaining? I get that we got 155,000 subscribers. You have a following here of like people getting into YouTube and so forth. It's like, gosh, I wish I could be there, but it's not like when you get 100,000 views and you silver play button, the YouTube gives you a raise per video or something like that, right?
They don't. Still have to. Yeah, you're almost, everyone's still at like the same level playing field of every video being judged on its own merits. Yeah. Not your subscribers, really not your history. That gives you a little bit of an edge because there's that initial distribution. Every video is being judged in isolation on its own merits, its own broad appeal, its own title, its own thumbnail, its own quality of average view duration. Back to you.
Yeah. So, what you're saying here is the game is changing a little bit, right? Or just the ebb and flow of, we do have peaks and valleys, this kind of stuff. But it seemed like previous years, the peaks and valleys were a little bit more survival. Now with inflation happening, that's kind of offset some of the peaks even, right? So what does that mean for me?
You mean inflation like that? This is also infecting the finances of your channel.
Yeah, just general, like you go to the grocery store to buy food for
Yep.
your family. I mean, that's up.
Yep.
Your gas for your car has gone up. Your homeowner's insurance has gone up. All the stuff has gone up. But your income really hasn't, type thing. So that kind of creates an offset. That being said, I'll share with you, basically our two incomes are mainly from Google AdSense and from sponsorship, and it's been almost 50-50, right? We have not tapped into the affiliate programs, maybe one or two, but they're not really, maybe $100-$200 a month or something like that. Merchandise, and just other avenues. And maybe that's the time to really deep dive into that and gaining that, because, we're relying solely pretty much on either Google AdSense or sponsorship. And if either one of those starts to dwindle a little bit for several months or a month, then it kind of puts you in a bad situation. So if that's one of the things we need to adopt immediately to try to help cover those valleys. The other thing, I'd back up a little bit. You're talking about seasonality. Let's talk about that for a second. And this is like more a general question to you, Sean, is that, comparing this to TV, this is like ancient history now. Comparing this to TV, there would be a show that you would love. Maybe it would have a pilot and it'd be great, but it only lasted the pilot show. Then there'd be a show that lasted a couple seasons, and there's a show that, gosh, it's been on as long as you and I've been walking practically. You know what I mean? Like the MASH or something like that. And I went into this, and you probably did as well, thinking, all right, let's be realistic. We could have a good pilot, and that's it. Or we might have a couple years, and then all of a sudden seasons change and people lose interest. And that's kind of, I don't have one foot in the door. One foot out the door, I'm fully committed. But at the same time, I'm looking for some cues on, like, where is this going? Can we go through a rough time, or is it the world is changing? And like, as an example, what I report on, what I share, is getting people into aviation and building airplanes, which I admit to you fully, in today's world and economy, it's basically promoting playing with toys, right? Airplanes are toys.
Yep.
So when it comes down to bread and butter or airplanes, what's going to be left over. So anyway, just a few things there.
Let's go aggressive action items and
Okay.
and hit a couple things. One more thing, and you mentioned it, is I think that we underestimate audience fatigue. And maybe it's not just audience fatigue, but audience transition. How does the family vlogger who attracted an audience, let me back up. How does the Gen Z vlogger who attracted an audience for living a lifestyle of traveling and kind of living a single or dating life of all these cool experiences, that then transitions into getting married and having kids, actually bring her audience along with her? If her core audience followed her because she was going to the club and because it was that kind of lifestyle, and now they moved to middle America and live on a farm, the question is, did your audience transition with you, or did they subscribe because they were like, I love the fact that you went to all these EDM festivals around the world? So there's the maturing and the shifting of your audience. I'm actually talking about two. I think about my friends and co-author of YouTube Secrets, Benji and Judy. Their audience have actually grown with them, as they have grown as well, from lots of different seasons of life. But talk about attrition. Do people even watch vloggers anymore? Did they stop watching YouTube altogether? You have some incredible insights of saying, when there's some fluff in the economy, whether it's aircraft or boating or toys, if that slows down, then the shift in the macro market is going to influence your micro market. So audience transitioning, audience growing up, audience getting bored, audience giving up on their hobby. And so I apply this to Think Media. Audience that might say, oh, you know what, it's just too hard. Audience saying, I do want to do YouTube, but I just literally got hit with a sick parent. I got hit with a new career. I got a big raise, not a bad thing, but kind of golden handcuffs. I kind of wanted a side hustle because I needed it, but actually in the shifting of the job thing, now I'm making a pretty good income. And you know what? I'm not going to go side hustle. I now that I got good insurance and stuff. So there's a zillion reasons why someone might subscribe to Think Media and then stop watching or stop following or unsubscribe. And they could be because I don't like you guys anymore, but more often they're like, people's lives change. So that maybe goes without saying, but I think it presents some of our action items. I think on a macro, 4 things. One of my mentors taught me that we got to outwork, outlearn, strategize, and outlast the competition. We got to outwork, outlearn, outstrategize, and outlast the competition. A couple of vulnerabilities I see for you. I think the fact that you're dependent upon Google AdSense and sponsorship has been a vulnerability. I would say it actually can be too late in some cases for certain things, but it's never too late to pivot and transition. But while you are in the good times, lesson for the past, you want to be like Joseph in the Bible, storing away grain in 7 years of prosperity for the 7 years of famine. And that would be diversifying income streams. I'm not suggesting you were like saving or investing, but again, why things are good, build the next thing. And that next thing could be very much out of the box. A lot of creators are funding YouTube creators have a season of prosperity and they use the dollars to start investing in Airbnbs and something like that. I'm not suggesting you get that distracted, but it's a good point. Another way to consider it would be, the business models, of course, are like courses or coaching programs. But I think for you, it could be some kind of an experience of like you take on 10 students and help them build their plane. You help them, you make an offer to a very affluent group of people. Well, like that might require staff. It might require some different things. But if you have the right person that wants you, the expert, holding their hand of 10 very affluent people that would love for you to walk them through the building of some kind of custom plane, this is up to you to understand your market, see the opportunities in the market, and realize you previously maybe would not have been able to launch that, but you can now. And by necessity, you may need to now. It's diversification of income streams. And that's why maybe going into Airbnb or real estate in general it's almost in a way could be a wrong conversation. I would say within your business, like what opportunities within your business, so that you're not dependent on that. Because let's also just clarify that for any business owner, most business owners, the majority of businesses, there's a lot of things they could suffer from. One could be their product does need to improve. Their problem to the solution their answer to the solution needs to improve. But 99% of people I run into, their problem is actually exposure. Nobody knows them. They don't have any leads. They don't know how to actually get in front of people. It's one thing to have a world-class offer. It's a whole nother thing to actually get leads for that offer. When I look at the fact that you're in front of 791,746 people a month, your problem is not exposed. Like 99% of the business owners in the world would kill for a fraction of this exposure. So it's sort of thinking that like your problem and a lot of things that YouTube creators don't understand the opportunity they have is what other income streams could you have? And that takes a lot of hard work and a lot of, dialing in an offer of some kind, or you could look at our Think Media podcast episode from today is a must listen with Jade Dharma Wongsa, but I think she was talking about a presenting sponsor. It was actually like a sponsor of her show for a whole season. Like going into launching a new podcast, she got a sponsor. So the biz dev, I wrote that down, like the business development of you getting on the phone, talking to some brands, partnering with a company, acquire a company, buy half of another company and growth hack that company with your thing, earn into it. What company wishes they had 791,000 views a month and you bring the influence, they have this, you together creates a multi-million-dollar opportunity. That would be a business development strategic. That's why it's outwork, outlearn, out strategize, and outlast. It's a strategic level of thinking about what's your next innovative campaign, because the traffic is still amazing. But if we get too myopic and say, well, Google AdSense and sponsors are down, we got to get those up or else we're going to be out of business. That is not the only two things we need to solve for. In the book Decisive, we learn to attain distance before deciding. So we need to get, I would go way zoomed out. And I know those are kind of vague statements, but really I would be after, okay, if the hill gets steeper, I'm going to work all the harder. I'm going to outwork. You are here learning, obviously we're talking, but I don't know, maybe things have been good for a while. How aggressive have you been in investing in books, courses, coaching, or buying tickets to events to get outside of your world? And I don't even necessarily mean directly for YouTube. I mean industry events, marketing,
Fresh
and
ideas.
and then out strategize. Have you gone into the war room with you, yourself, your team, anybody involved, after maybe gathering some intel of what the state of the world is and getting in front of a whiteboard and talking about all kinds of different things? And then outlast is, again, if you just weather the storm, and the storm could be very long, as you probably know, like the storm, interest rates, like fluffing the economy, it might not be back for a while, but this whole thing of the number one goal in business is to stay in business. If you just don't die for 5, 6, 7 years, and then
you win by default.
You win by default because it even dropped to 300,000 views a month, but then you've been around, you're super seasoned, you're ready to go. A bunch of films come out, some viral TikTok trends, and all of a sudden this aircraft thing just blows up and you're positioned to 10x because similarly you were treading water while the world was flooded, and you were able to then last 40 days and 40 nights, and then boom, the flood recedes and you're ready for a whole new season, a blessing. So
it's a Days of Thunder clip, right? Where there's a crash and there's smoke on the racetrack, and he's starting to lift off the throttle, and then instead he goes full throttle through the smoke and comes out the other side and gains a position, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I've said a lot, and I have some specific YouTube strategies. But any thoughts on outwork, outlearn, out strategize, and outlast?
No, you bring up a good point as far as us YouTubers or whatnot. We work a lot from home or close to home at least, and our water cooler discussions center around our wife or whatnot. So getting outside the box a little bit. I guess that's the thing. Is like, I don't know. We share stuff with the world. We have a following of hundreds of thousands of people or whatnot, but at the same time, we don't share this behind the scenes struggle with pretty much anybody, right? Because it's your own personal business. Plus, there's competition, and let's face it, all of us, we're in business of attention. Whether it's fishing, like your Bass Pro Shops hat, or boating, or airplanes, it's all about winning attention. And we're all competing on that same field, whatever genre it is, right? So yeah, I think maybe like you're saying, just who you surround yourself with and getting new, fresh ideas or books or whatnot. And maybe it's time to step back into that a little bit. But I want to bring up a point you talk about a lot in your different shows, is that, especially for newer channels, is that small channels, think that they're small, but they can run a full-time business off those small channels. And maybe for at least a season, I need to operate as if somebody with only 25,000 followers or 50,000 followers, and max that out to kind of regain some territory. And for that,
like a small channel mentality. It's the underdog mentality.
Yes.
That's for sure. I mean, never losing that. It's the scrappy mentality and willing to go back, get in the dirt as you are. But sometimes it's a hard pill to swallow when we're used, and there's fatigue that sets in. You've been doing this. That's a whole nother conversation for like a future Coffee with Cannell, is what are the emotions and physical toll and mental toll of doing this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years of trying to reinvent. There's no doubt about it. There's some, legit kind of fatigue. And so reshifting our mindset to get back into that gritty startup mentality, underdog mentality.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so here's we'll land the plane with one thing. Nice long conversation today. Coffee with Cannell. Let us know what your aha moments have been. And you know, this conversation is so relevant for all of us. There's been lots of nuances, and that's why we're here, is for you. So it's definitely smash the like button and maybe share this with somebody that you know, needs to hear this, a creator friend or somebody else. Because the good news is there is hope. I mean, the good news is that it's always going to be a small percentage that actually does outwork, outlearn, out strategize, and outlast. And because of that, there's still hope for all of us. If we put in the work, if we summon the courage, summon the energy, rally our vision again, and also put in the work necessary to upskill, up level, when things get tough, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. And that's our community at the Think Media Podcast and Coffee with Cannell. I just uploaded 16 new videos, more than that, but it's 16 kind of modules inside of our Video Ranking Academy course. This is in our VRA Masters section of VRA, and it's under this premise, Brian, and that is that when people are creating content, they get stuck in ruts of, I do talking head videos, I do kind of a vlog style of a plane or whatever, you know, I do I answer specific questions, kind of search based, as we've taught a lot of. You know, I review specific products. You mentioned not doing affiliate marketing, but it actually could be an opportunity because maybe there are people looking for actual specific parts and they build that and you've got links, etc. So I think that after all this is said and done, because we've talked a lot about mindset stuff, it's probably one of the most tactical episodes of Coffee with Cannell. I know this: 99% of creators are usually like a 1 or 2 trick pony. And in Video Ranking Academy, we are training people to have at least 16 tools. And then we go into there's even more than that. Meaning you're trying to build a YouTube empire and people are either using a hammer or a screwdriver and that's it. But they didn't realize that there's also a saw, that there's also a jackhammer, which is a whole other, if you don't have that power tool, it's going to be real tough to break up that concrete with just the traditional hammer. So we get a lot of frustrated. So what are these? So I think that we obviously don't have time to get into them, but different ways to get outside of the box. Some of the core ones we teach: answer specific questions, always still good, review specific products, teach specific skills, how to do X, build a plane in your case, you know, whatever. Trend surfing, I think there could be some stuff tying into trends, tying into the news, tying into something. Influence surfing, I saw Mr. Beast and it looked like the guy that he was in your thumbnail because the little plane they had for one of their videos. And
yeah, isn't that amazing that he saw the video and called the contact that I had and made a whole other video about that. That was like, you could have called me, I could have introduced you, but you know.
And it's such a great example. And this was a video I saw. I mean, maybe to close the loop here, because people think, just so visually you could see, people think, oh, am I just trying to like follow trends and jump on influencers? Well, no. I mean, if it's relevant to your niche, meet the pilot, breezy aircraft pilot Libby flew Mr. Beast. That is directly tied into this channel. So you're not just trying to be trendy. Sure. You're actually surfing on relevant influence related to your industry. But then you can go deeper. Long form videos using the skyscraper method, react videos. I think there's a big opportunity for you to react to a lot of different things that are happening. Look at react channels, Mr. Beast Reacts, YouTube Shorts, video podcasts. That's an interesting, there's the idea of starting another channel. I'm not suggesting you do that. I'm just saying when you think outside of the box, we also can call this zero-based thinking or zero-based strategy, where when you're trying to solve a problem, we get so close and we think sponsors and ad revenue, as opposed to let's go zero-based. What does zero-based mean? It means let's assume we were starting from zero. How would we build? What team would we build? How would we manage money? What business model would we build? Who would we hire? How would we structure it? Let's just assume we had all the time in the world or all the money in the world or resources. What videos would we make? If we watch other channels, not just in your industry, from a zero-based lens, that would mean, okay, how has the platform shifted? How can I reinvent? Again, the people who win out strategize video. So you maybe start a video podcast interviews? Is there other pilots? Is there famous pilots? Strategic content, repurposing, content marathons, faceless videos. That's usually a niche, like a channel, automation channels. And I don't suggest you go that way, but there could be different, you can pull. We do all of these. We have done all of these at least once at Think Media. So we do faceless videos, even though we are not a YouTube animation or automation or faceless channel. The curation strategy, that's like the Rob Dyrdek strategy, the Evan Carmichael strategy, community live streaming, evergreen live streaming, and then unlimited possibilities. And we actually, in some of the modules, talk about 50 more things. So all of that is maybe was like a fire hose to say you can innovate your videos.
Sure.
And I would encourage you that waiting for you on the other side of innovating your videos can be seasons of new growth. The fact of the matter is as much as maybe the majority, arguably, of views going down a little bit, there's channels that's views are going up, but they have to adapt, right? And we have learned, and that's why we have launched this whole section in our program, is that this is what adapting looks like. When you get out of the rut of like, I've just been doing talking head videos and I'm willing to learn new skills, embrace new content formats, and up the production of my videos, the positioning of my videos, the perfect video recipe of my videos, all of the above, then waiting for me on the other side of that is new growth, new subscribers, and new breakthrough.
Yeah. One quick question before we jump off, if we have a minute, talking about, staying within our niche, right? And I think you are proof of this, and you talked about this in the past. I did start another channel back during COVID, podcast. I figured, people can't travel and don't want to be in person, so let's do something on the internet. That being said, I feel like YouTube, this is how I describe it, right? We had TV, which was like 24 channels, and you had to spread apart this stuff within 24 channels. Then we had cable, which is 300 channels of nothing's on. And now we have YouTube, which is infinite, right? So if you have an idea of doing something, you super niche down on that. If you have a new idea, start a new channel. And don't go too broad because people tuned into you for one thing, correct? So you really kind of have to stay in your lane. Would you agree?
Well, totally agree. I don't think you should start doing Minecraft playthroughs or gardening videos. I think the question is to ask is, what did people originally subscribe for, and never upload videos they didn't subscribe for? I think that a missed opportunity for a lot of people, though, is that more views will come from broader appeal. There's broad appeal ideas that aviation enthusiasts would love. That would be the key. What broad appeal topics and content could I cover? Incomplete question. If we don't add on that aviation enthusiasts would love, boom, there's a formula for more views. Because for sure, if you niche down too much, you're gonna have niche views. Not bad. We talk about very specific search-based videos, very specific affiliate monetizing videos, because they rank or they just really solve a very specific thing. But if it's a matter of top-line views, and I would challenge you, Brian, that the quality of the answers that we get is predicated on the quality of our questions. And so if your question is, Sean, how do I get more views? Then one way, besides the 16 things we mentioned, is broader appeal to aviation enthusiasts. But the additional questions we asked, I would argue, are maybe even more important. What offer could I create to make more views unnecessary?
Exactly.
Where's the puck going, and how can I skate to the puck? What presenting sponsor could I acquire that would be by jumping on the phone or, flying and meeting up with somebody, a biz dev startup, maybe that, whatever in the aviation industry, that it could be a 7-figure partnership. These are questions nobody's asking. Everybody is asking, how do I get more views on YouTube so I can get a little bit more ad revenue? Which we're here to help. And I love the question. And it is a great question. I don't think it's the most important question.
No, I agree. That's what I was asking. Like, also, what other lanes, right? Where
Yeah.
other streams can happen here, because I don't want to rely. I want to be master of my own destiny, up to, God's in control of my destiny in truth, right? But what I'm allowed to have in control of my life, I want to have better control of that, right?
Well, and every smart entrepreneur is thinking the same thing. Yeah. And I love, this has been a great conversation, very high level strategic conversation. Anything else, Brian, as we land the plane?
No, hey, I appreciate you and your team, and I follow you all the time, and I want to be more like you. That's what I want to be like.
Well, I appreciate your kindness. So grateful we got to reconnect. And I knew as soon as you asked the question over on Facebook, I knew that this conversation would be rich and add value to our entire community. So I know everybody here is thankful. Can everybody shout out Brian and say, thanks, Brian, for being on? Hey, appreciate you.
Well, thanks. Again, your team and what you do there. This is your ministry away from your ministry.
I love it. That's how we feel as well. In fact, we just finished up our core values. Finally, we clarified them. Let me see if I can do them from memory. The Bible is our blueprint. We are purpose-driven leaders. We are pursuing mastery. Love above all. Resilient spirit. And I don't know if I said all six, but
and now you have to teach all that to your children, like I do.
Yeah. Our son turns 3 here in tomorrow. And so really pumped. Did I hit all 6? This is the first time. Bible's our blueprint, pursuit of mastery, built to last, purpose-driven, love above all, resilient spirit. 6 core values. Of course, we've been living them, but we wanted to codify them this year. And so we've been moving towards that process, reading the book, The Advantage by Patrick Lencioni, Why Organizational Health Trumps Everything. And it's been fun. But anyways, Brian, I'm going to answer some of the questions here. Thanks again for jumping on.
Sounds good. Thanks, Sean.
Coffee with Cannell. I need some aha moments. That was a rich conversation, a long conversation. Let me know what your aha moment, your takeaway. I see a lot of love for Brian in the chat. And if you're here on the replay and you're this deep in the video, respect. Hashtag replay fam. Drop that down in the comments. Replay fam is serious dedication. I also want to encourage you, for those of you in our Video Ranking Academy family, to dive into your VRA Masters section. I know the world's busy. I know there's a lot of things to watch, listen to, but there is some brand new deep dive material for you. And we go super deep into each of those 16 surefire video ideas. Haven't taught those in depth anywhere else. We've touched on like the first 5 in like different YouTube challenges and stuff. But there is so much opportunity waiting for you on the other side of rethinking your strategy, on the other side of being zero-based. What if I was starting from scratch? It's also painful. So I admit that sometimes you're like, oh man, learn new skills, get out of my comfort zone. The way I was doing it was working. Now it's not, it can be uncomfortable, but I want to encourage you that, waiting for you on the other side of out strategizing and out learning others is a lot of growth and could be the next best season for your channel. Danish asks, we need to change AI voiceover artist in every video or go with only one in the videos. I think that is completely optional for you. AI voiceovers are getting really good. If you're starting from scratch on a channel and you want to get monetized, I've heard stories of people using AI voiceovers not getting monetized. I've heard that soon AI will be so good, YouTube might not be able to detect it. I've also then considered that depending on what kind of content you're creating, a lot of times faceless and automation channels are just going for one breakout video. And the vulnerability of the channel is they're not actually building a brand, meaning no one's falling in love with the voice because someone's just searching or YouTube suggesting a breakout video. The voice on it's good enough, but it's not a personal brand. There are channels who use their own voice and they are not on camera, but you do build a connection with them. So these are all things to consider. Should you change it? Maybe if you're testing to see which one works best, but there's 36 other variables, right, in a video. And back to, it's a good question, but back to asking other questions. What's your big strategy? What do you hope this channel to accomplish? Are you trying to build a brand? Are you just trying to get lucky on a few videos, YouTube ads, automation arbitrage game of, if I get a couple videos, I get a couple $1,000 a month. I don't think it even matters. You're just trying to get a couple breakout videos paying you ad revenue, which I don't want to speak down to that, but it's not necessarily a long-term vision. It's just a short-term way to earn side income. And in that case, it doesn't matter. So lots of things to think about. I'm super grateful for the question. What are you drinking right now? I'm going to take a sip of coffee here. And I'm going to be back in just a second. Did you know that we have a weekly show called the Think Media Podcast? If you want to learn the best strategies for growing your business and brand with YouTube, for how to thrive as a creator, or how to get more leads and clients and customers as an entrepreneur, then I want to invite you to subscribe to the Think Media Podcast. Available on YouTube and all of the audio platforms. On this show, you're going to find advanced strategies for understanding YouTube, for building the business mechanics around your YouTube channel, including your email list, or taking what you know and turning it into profitable products. We have amazing guest interviews and all kinds of special surprises that happen consistently on the Think Media Podcast. So to get access for free, just click the link in the description or go to thinkmediapodcast.com. Welcome back to the Coffee with Cannell show. I saw Drea saying we need to drink more water. And so I'm with you, Drea. I'm also sipping on my Presta Ethiopia single origin coffee here and answering your questions on the Coffee with Cannell show. I see that we've got coffee always. My man, that's coffee has water in it. Yeah, that's true. We got some Kool-Aid in the house. We got some water in the house. Probably smart drinking water for a change. Polishing off a Monster energy drink. I love it. We're out here. Stay hydrated though. And coffee is a diuretic. So compensate with water. Is it best to have the same title and thumbnails on all videos for those searching? My answer, I don't fully understand the question, but my answer is no. Like if your YouTube channel has all the same titles and all the same thumbnails, that's a bad idea. If you're asking, should the thumbnails kind of look the same so people understand your brand? I've heard arguments for that. I don't think there's a proven, your brand could be your face, like you follow somebody and if you see their face, you're like, oh yeah, I recognize them. I watched that person's show, or I love their content. Of course, your brand could be colors. Some people put a little logo in the corner, but here's my macro answer. It's best to have the best title and thumbnail for the individual video so the individual video can be a banger on YouTube. Yes, there's building your brand and your whole library, but your whole library doesn't matter if you have no breakout videos. So it's a tension to be managed, but I want a really good title and a really good thumbnail and really good content on one video because every video is ultimately going to be judged on its own merits individually. Am I recording my classes? I am recording my classes. Is it okay if I upload to my channel? Well, I'm not a legal expert. I don't know what the local, did you sign a document? Is there an NDA? Is it like an elementary school? Are parents okay with it? Does it even matter? Because there's nobody's likeness in it. It's just you. Do you have the rights to that material? I am not giving you permission. But you might, but it's a brilliant question to ask because anybody who is already teaching somewhere, talk about high leverage, get a camera turned on, get it captured. Any business leader that's doing staff meetings, that is coaching your team, coaching an individual, teaching, passing on information to somebody, doing a client meeting. If you can get permission to record it, the big idea here is don't create content, be the content. So I could sit down and be like, okay, let me talk. I'm gonna make a video about leadership, or I could turn on a camera like this camera over here. I could record an angle like this as I'm doing a Zoom meeting, and I could deliver a one-on-one leadership conversation to someone on the Think Media team and then upload that. And thus I would be just being the content. I wouldn't be actually like creating content. I'd be capturing in my life. And a lot of entrepreneurs that are maybe more established, because they have resources, that's the idea of hiring somebody to follow you around or hiring someone to help you do that. But we've got many videos on our Think Media channel. Omar's done many where if you build a battle station like this and you set up an angle off to the side, then that angle, or a little bit more centered, sometimes just slightly off, the different ways to set it up, then you use that. And a lot of times you're going to use that for shorts, vertical videos on other platforms, but you're not going to go out and create content. You're going to be the content. So if you're teaching in a classroom, great. Do your due diligence to get permission and to figure out if you're allowed to use it. But I definitely would lean into that. My channel, Africa View 1, is 2.5 months old, and I've noticed that good performing videos suddenly stop having views after 24 hours. I wonder why. It's pretty common. YouTube is quite a generous platform. You might notice with shorts, there's like it has like this spike and then it just drops. And you're like, what happened? Did YouTube break my video? Or you might notice that even at a specific time, literally 24 hours, it drops. The reason why is because the feedback signals that YouTube is measuring, average view duration, click-through rate, as they show impressions, as they show that video to other people, compared to other videos on the platform. So there's an interesting, if you download the YouTube Studio app, it gives you like this little box that like tells you things. It'll say like your average view duration for your videos is between 4 minutes and 30 seconds and 5 minutes and 30 seconds. The top 10% of videos in your niche, or the top 10% of videos on YouTube, is like a minute longer than that. So as YouTube is deciding different content to surface, the cool thing about YouTube, because y'all might be like, and YouTube's mean to me, doesn't like me, it's not showing me. Well, YouTube is not, in a way, doesn't even care about you. It cares about viewers. It actually wants to satisfy viewers. So YouTube is incredibly generous in the fact that it will give new creators the opportunity to be seen. But then you only get one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow, because opportunity comes once in a lifetime. Right? So after 24 hours, if your click-through rate is 4%, I'm making these up, 4%, and your average view duration is 2 minutes, and other videos that YouTube is surfacing from other creators, their click-through rate is 6%, and their average view duration is 3 minutes, then it just might kill your views and keep letting that video go. And then that video might go up and up and up and up. So it's really, what's the remedy? Improve your content. Watch this beginning of this Coffee with Cannell. Pivot your title and thumbnail if necessary, so that it's continues to get good click-through rate and ultimately good watch time. I mean, that's the main metric. They want time on platform. They want people watching as much YouTube as possible. I have created a new YouTube channel for Cricket Gaming to get more views and followers. How do I get more views and followers quickly? I appreciate the question. I'm going to recommend you subscribe to the channel, listen to the podcast, because it's super broad. Just how do I get views? How do I get followers? Follow Think Media. And of course, we've got some deeper resources, but we have a ton of free resources. And so I would recommend that. One thing a lot of people don't know about is our 21 video tips free training. And so let me show you that. I would definitely recommend this. This is some strategic kind of tactics that a lot of people aren't sharing. And so check this out.
If you like content like this, then you definitely want to go to 21videotips.com, where you're going to get 21 amazing tips from entrepreneurs like Patrick Bet-David, Vanessa Lau, Pat Flynn, and so many more. Also, Alex Hormozi's in there as well, where you're going to be learning some of their little known business secrets. And inside of this resource, we're giving you a downloadable guide that goes along with it to help you get impact right away. So go to 21videotips.com right now to get that free resource and this incredible video that has 21 amazing tips from special guests just like this.
Yeah. So let me know if you've already watched that. That's like an hour long. There's a downloadable guide. It's totally free. 21videotips.com. Definitely check that out. One of my videos went viral for me, hit almost 2,000 views, but I can't get back to those views again. Is that typical? After you've seen a video do well, you want to follow up. We say success leaves clues, make part twos. You want to follow up not with a duplicate video, but with an adjacent video. What topic went viral for me? How can you double down on that topic and maybe turn it into a series? What can you learn from it? But then it could be typical, because sometimes it's hard to replicate success. This is one of the reasons why we have launched our VRA Elite program, which is like group coaching, where we now have Think Media certified coaches, because it's also hard to sometimes observe our own content from an objective standpoint. Because what you also want to do is you want to pull out the principles. If meaning you go, I don't know why this went viral. That would be the big question, to figure out what about it. And VFM, viral for me. So you could keep doing 2000s, 3000s, 4000s, 2000, 1800, 1500, 2300, and replicate success. Some people say experience is the best teacher. It's not true. Experience is not the best teacher. Evaluated experience is the best teacher. We have to become masters at analyzing not just YouTube analytics, but analyzing content, analyzing our audience retention curve, analyzing feedback signals, analyzing the topic, listening to comments, thinking about viewer psychology. Experience is not the best teacher. Evaluated experience is the best teacher, because when you mine not just general success principles, but your own formula for your own niche and your own content, and then you repeat success. A lot of people have accidental success and they don't know how to repeat it. The key is to reverse engineer what activities and details and strategies and tactics and nuances of that video led to those results, make some hypotheses, publish new content implementing those details and those nuances, and then go, wow, I got another 2100, another 2400. That would be what I would recommend. How do you balance creativity with video number volume? My desire is to grow the channel, but I often question video number, uploads versus quality efforts. Uploading talking head with B-roll clips. This is a matter of my audience, but wow, that was long. So I'm going to recommend, the cool thing is, I really appreciate the question. We'll link this in the show notes in the description, but 12 days ago at the time of this live stream, we did a video called Quality versus Quantity, which is more important. I could riff for a long time, but I would just point you to this video, Quality versus Quantity, which is more important. That was the Think Media podcast episode. Thanks so much for the question. And my best answer is right there. Labor, can I flip my channel and open a second one? Same content, but if a different language to reach an audience who doesn't speak English. Yeah, you can. Mr. Beast is a good example of this. His videos are being translated at a high quality level, completely remixed, local talent, people with a good accent. Watch this. Jokes are changed. Cultural references that would only be stood in the US are changed to cultural references or jokes or slang that would be understood in the country with which, or the language with which they're remixing the content into it. World-class sound design, world-class voiceover dubbing, world-class music, world-class all of the above. And he's crushing it at a beast level. The real question becomes, is this relevant for the smaller and mid-sized creator? And then the real question is it sustainable, financially viable, and worth doing? And then the real next question is, or the good news is, I was just at VidCon, spoke at VidCon, our interview today. We have 8 interviews coming out over the next 4 weeks of really good conversations from VidCon on the Think Media podcast. There is a lot of companies building AI tools to remix our, like, let's say English speaking videos into other languages at a high level, but they're really not there yet. There's AI dubbing, because you could always hire a voiceover artist, but there's the cost. And then there's the question of how big's your niche, how good's the content, and there's a lot of different variables. My prescription labor law with Ali is that chances are, I mean, you have 819 subscribers, that this is not the best use of your energy. Now, don't let me talk you out of an opportunity that you see. If you see a gap in the market, you see a blue ocean, watch a summary video of the blue ocean, a book summary of the blue ocean strategy book. If you see a blue ocean, then maybe you should pursue this. But here's what I've learned. If you're not full-time yet, whatever that would mean for you with your main thing, avoid getting distracted with another thing. If you're not full-time with one YouTube channel, avoid getting distracted with a second YouTube channel. And a lot of times that your business theory is sound, but the timing is off. Should I ultimately dub or change my content into another language to expand my audience and reach a new market? Well, in an infinite time horizon with infinite resources, the answer would be yes. But we don't have either of those things. We're trying to find the shortest path to revenue. So my question would be, what is the best language, best channel, best topic, best content, and shortest path to financial freedom or escape velocity so that you could focus on full-time YouTube full-time or whatever your goals are? And I would hyper focus on that. And then once there's an abundance of resources, financial, human resources, team, time, then you could expand. One of the biggest things that kills like brick and mortar businesses or food and beverage businesses is they expand into too many markets too fast, right? Oh, we have one store, it's crushing it. Now we have 7 stores in the city, they're crushing it. Okay, let's take over the West Coast. Great. Now let's go nationwide. Boom, company goes bankrupt. Of course, you could do that successfully, but it's pace, distribution, team, culture. So it's at what pace do you scale? So if you're saying, one channel, pace, quality of content, consistency of brand, consistency of business model, building the business model, the time it takes to fulfill on the business model around the channel. And then now I'm going to try to run 3 other channels. Well, get your shortest path to revenue. Get escape velocity with your finances and then reinvest those finances into perhaps more languages. Mr. Beast has escape velocity. He's got money, and he's got money from diverse income streams. Sometimes you hear his content business just loses money, but not really, because Feastables, the chocolate bar, covers all, and his content lifts the brand of Feastables. So he's able to like arbitrage finances from all over and cross, because again, you'll oftentimes overspend on one video. But then also, if he overspends on one video and then dubs that video into multiple languages multiplied by 6 to 12 months, boom. So he's got enough cash to float the projects. All right. Good question. Sean, I get great views on shorts, but not long form. What will help me transition views from short form to long form? So one of the things we need to see, friends, and this is probably not good news, Idiot Craftman, but the $1 million question is, how do I transform? The $1 million question is, how do I transition short form viewers into my long form content? Well, there's an analytic that you need to see. And if you go to analytics, overview, content, and at the top, make sure you're selected all, you'll scroll down. There's this thing that says viewers across formats. And you can then see what percentage of my viewers watch my videos versus my lives versus my shorts. So on this particular channel, Think Media Podcast, 76% of people watch videos only. So this is a long form channel. And for those 76%, That's basically 8 out of 10 don't care that I upload shorts on this channel. Okay. 12% do. So 1 out of 10 do, but check it out. 1 out of 10 people on Think Media podcast channel don't make it to the long form. They only watch the shorts. And then 1 out of 10 watch both. So I think one of the things that we need to, if you will, give up on is the idea of, now we shouldn't give up on the idea, but this whole idea of that shorts viewers are going to convert to long form. I think that people overestimate. They try to force it. They try to do commercials. They try to say, go watch the long form video. They try to do a lot of stuff. And there's a lot of friction in that world. Now, I do have a second tip for you, though. And let's actually do this live together because I needed to update this. So we released a video. And this video is a short on how you can save money on your taxes. Why is it important to have a LLC? And I want to say there was one of these shorts. It's not this one. Let me see if I can find the one that it is so we could do this together. We can do it to all of them. So we had an episode with Prime Corporate Services, how an LLC can save you. Maybe it's this one. Okay, great. So let's see. The comment says, what source advice? Make an in-depth video on this topic. So Chris is asking for an in-depth video on this topic. Now, interesting is Chris didn't, and I'm not putting Chris down, but he did not assume even that there was an in-depth, like, so this is a clip of a video podcast. And I think this reveals a big truth we all need to understand. People are not going to go dig up the long form video. They don't necessarily know there is a long form video. And conversely, or as a result, you got to maybe do some hand-to-hand combat, or it shows that the connection's kind of broken in a lot of ways. There's the user not understanding that, the user not willing to be going to look. YouTube does say they're building bridges. Okay. But there is a new feature that allows you to solve this, or at least to help. So what you can actually do is you can go into the short itself, which is, here's that short. And he says, is there a long form video? And you could go over on this right side. And I'm glad that Steph is here because this is something we're going to go back and do to all of our relevant shorts, or Drea. And it says related video. This is kind of cool. So you now have an area where you can do a related video and you can connect to a YouTube short, the full length video. So let me see if I can scroll to it. And I don't remember what this video is called. And this is a practical way, shorts also remove links. So this is a cool tactical way that, clickable links in the pinned comments and description. But at least you can take someone from a short to the full length video now a little bit easier. So don't get sued, legal advice on taxes. So here's the full length video with Tommy from Prime Corporate Services. I'm going to take this YouTube link. I'm going to come back over here. I'm going to connect that. I'm going to click save. And now where Chris is saying, hey, did you do a full length video on this topic? This video is now connected to a little clickable link right here that says don't get sued. And if people click that from the YouTube short, it takes them to the full length conversation. This is a big deal for anybody that's doing clips from a video podcast, anybody that's doing, I should say shorts. Yeah. Snippets, short video, YouTube shorts from any kind of long form content. Now you've just connected the two. Did you see how that worked? Now this is also another clip from that. So if we go back to any of in fact, tomorrow as well. So I'm going to go details. I'm going to go related video and I'm going to link that back. So I'm going to click save. So now all these different YouTube shorts with Tommy can link to the full length video. And on a macro, this is kind of exciting. We'll have to study to see how well this works or see the results. And then here I'm not trying to say this is like, going to save everything or be the ultimate thing that crushes it, like, because it's still going to be up to the viewer of the short to understand that future, but it makes it, again, easier now for them to just go, how having an LLC can save you $7,000 in taxes. Okay. And it says, don't get sued, little known. So now even the title, it's got a little tiny play button right there, but it's kind of confusing. You're like, okay. I mean, actually, it's kind of powerful, I guess. Don't get sued. What? But now apparently we only have 15 characters of text, and that's going to be the first 15 characters of your title, which is something to consider, but pretty cool. So now we have got all these YouTube shorts uploaded that we can enhance. Let me give you another Coffee with Cannell tactic. Lots of blessings coming out at 12:50 p.m. on a Tuesday on this Coffee with Cannell show live. Smash like if you're grateful and sipping on your green tea. This is a different tactic, but we are doing clips on this channel. We're testing them. We're seeing how good they're doing. But we did like this clip from Neil Dingra. And I wish I was logged in with my Think Media account so I didn't have to watch ads because I have premium, but it's okay because I need to click this analytics button. And then what we're doing is we're doing a clip, and at the end, it links to the full length episode. Here's what's kind of cool. Just a little interesting way to measure effectiveness of things. This full length episode, highly recommended, by the way. Neil dropped some serious bombs. This ties into our topic today too. The video had kind of flatlined, but was slowly growing. Great. And then you see the bump? The bump is super clear. You got a little rise right there in results. And all of a sudden, what happened? Well, look over on the right side. It says end screens are 34% of the traffic. So this video is 288 days old, but clips from this video uploaded on the same channel, nice valuable clip, good title, good thumbnail with the end card, are two I believe have been published, and that's leading to 2 views an hour. 164 views. Now I know it's split up, suggested, still going, browse. But what is interesting too is, man, if you can provide fresh life to old videos, a rising tide lifts all ships. So there's the direct, I think, correlated end screen traffic. But then as people are like, man, this video is fire. And if watch time and other metrics prove to be positive, then you could also get, clearly, there's probably multiple reasons, but like why suggested videos and browse features are also doing well. So anyways, just kind of a cool thing, measuring what matters and thinking about the success or the quality of the clips you cut out. I think sometimes less is more. That's where we're leaning these days. I'm not actually even in love with our clips. Let me know if you have any feedback. I think that some of our clips, like, we're just measuring, but that was a cool feedback loop of, oh, well, that's legit. Each of those clips got about 2,100 views. But the original video is now to the moon a little bit, slowly to the moon. It's going to be a long journey, but it's on its way. All right. Wow. Smash like if you're enjoying some of these tactics. TVR creators, I appreciate you. We got to land the plane, but we'll land it at a fresh 2-hour Coffee with Cannell today. So a couple more questions coming your way. Lindsay, what do you know about invalid traffic claims on YouTube? Do you know if YouTube is using AI to detect this? My channel was affected recently. Lindsay, I got to dig more into this. I've gotten a lot of messages, a lot of tweets, and no excuses. I know it is my responsibility to you to have good answers, but I'm not going to make anything up. Between hiring a bunch of people, actually, we're hiring some new people, surviving, parenting, and all of the above. I just have, it's been on my radar. I just haven't dug into it yet. So I don't have a good answer for you. Architectural sheet metal. How badly do you have to be to go back? Ballsy. How ballsy do you have to be to go back and change thumbs and titles on really high performing videos? Not that ballsy, I don't think, because you're only changing one thing. So change the thumbnail and be like, shoot, the click-through rate dropped. Change it back. I guess I can see what your fear would be, is like, it didn't recover. I sent it into a nosedive and I can't get it back. And like, you're like, oh, I lost my old video. I guess there's some risk. And so you do need to have a little bit, some kahunas to step out and try that, but you can always change it back. And you want to be on top of this. Now, there are some different tools for that as well. And I think, let me recommend a resource. We'll link it up. Nolan Molt made a video. I changed my thumbnail on YouTube and my video exploded. And so check this out, and thumbnailtest.com. We could share a link to this as well. Now, this is only for, I would say it's only for, pros, meaning it's just kind of, it's not super expensive, but just when I think about all the tools, I would recommend like vidIQ be like a staple part. I would recommend everybody has vidIQ free, because that's not going to cost you very much. I'd recommend everybody has like certain, like I think budgeting for your tools. But if you get to a level where, call it hundreds, thousands are coming in a month, then another $15 a month here, $50, $100, like all these tools are actually super relevant. I think the mistake, because I could see some people like, is this worth it? Is that worth it? That's also kind of the wrong question. Is it worth it for you? Because the best pros have the best equipment. You think that Tiger Woods is cheaping out on the gear for golf? Of course not. But not everybody is getting endless free gear and sponsorships and clubs and whatever because you're Tiger. So it's not like, whether that's little details from your shoes to your clubs to, I don't know anything about golf, so like, forgive me. They're like, he said it wrong, from your putter to your driver. But the pro, you're watching this. And so anyways, thumbnail test, vidIQ, you start getting some money coming in. Let me say it another way. Reinvest in your business. When you start monetizing on YouTube, scared money don't make money. And too many people get weird and they like hesitate. Like, I want the best tools. If I can get 5% improvement here, 10% improvement here. And so I'll show you a link you could check this out, thumbnail test. Now, what I taught today is you don't need software to do the strategy. It's just going to be a lot more manual and intensive to do it manually, whereas thumbnail test will just report back to you. And there's all other competitor products and stuff, but the cool thing about that one is it is dedicated to this topic. Okay. Last question. Scott, if you're in a small niche, I'm in card gaming, do you recommend making evergreen content that is beyond your niche, like gaming in general, to grow beyond your niche on occasion? I don't, Scott, unless, of course, again, you're going to get the right subscribers, because we don't want growth for growth's sake. We want the right subscribers. We need the discipline and the patience and the long-term vision to say, I want to attract people who have the potential to continue to click on my videos, to continue to enjoy my videos, not just to get a subscriber to boost my vanity metrics, but so that I can actually build a community and build a channel that's focused, that leverages the YouTube algorithm and doesn't fight against the YouTube algorithm. I think one of the questions to ask is my original niche big enough to support my macro vision? Almost any niche on YouTube could support a hobby creator, and I believe it could build into $30, $40, $50, $60, $70,000, $80,000 a year. But can every niche be an 8-figure empire? Maybe not. So it's like the kind of thinking about this is in a business school, we would talk about the total addressable market. Now, I don't know what you mean by card gaming, because card gaming is gigantic. So I wouldn't even call it a small niche unless, I mean, are we talking about Magic the Gathering? Are we talking about Pokemon? Are we talking about War with a traditional deck of cards? Are we talking about, are we trying to hit all of those? A lot of those things can be very big. So we have this, we have a program called Niche Finder. I think there might be, I think we have something really cool. I know like our main program is usually the best. Maybe we don't. I don't know if we have a direct link to Niche Finder, Steph, Drea. We could throw that in the description too. Just Scott, something to check out, or anybody. I don't know if we have a special on that right now. It's a one-off. It's probably Video Ranking Academy is my favorite thing I've created. It's our main course. And usually Niche Finder comes bundled with it. I'm doing a class tonight. I forgot to even talk about that. I guess I am doing a live class tonight, and people know that, during classes, we have different types of bonuses and things that we give out, but depending on when you join Video Ranking Academy. But all that to say is back to this idea of niche, getting your niche right, your topic right, getting your positioning right is such a big deal. But you could be wrong on either side. You could actually be being too negative and say your niche is small. You also could be misunderstanding your niche and actually be a lot bigger than you think. And therefore getting fierce clarity and developing a strong strategy is our ultimate goal. And determining if, though, that you are absolutely right. It's a small niche. I don't know. I'm kind of capped out on, I'm not sure it's going to map. Well, then where can we pivot from here? What would be something that's still aligned with your passion? Or how could you maybe broaden the channel while still staying on brand so that you're reverse engineering back from 3 years from now, 5 years from now? What's your vision? Where do you want this thing to go? What is it you ultimately are after? So appreciate you, Scott. Well, Coffee with Cannell. Look at us. Oh man, we're at 2 hours. No, we're only at 1 hour and 56 minutes because I started late. So a couple things I want you to know. Number one, I appreciate you. Number two, sincerely, I actually really want, from the bottom of my heart, for the 140 of us on here live. And if you're #replay fam and you're still here, salute. Let's just cheers to you. And I mean it, because I am humbled and grateful. I know I wouldn't get to do what I'm able to do if it wasn't for you. Like if nobody watched our videos, nobody watched our content. The nature of the creator economy is creators are nothing without their community. And so it means the world. If you're just stopping by for one video, if you're a Think Media podcast listener, if you're a part of our community, I want to say thank you on behalf of the Think Media team, on behalf of my wife and kids. We truly are humbled and grateful and want to send you massive love and respect. Especially, I know your time can be spent a lot of different places. And so that fact that you'd hang out and spend some of your time with me today. Secondly, if you got value out of today, smash it is helpful and lets me know that you're getting value. Thirdly, there's a lot of cool resources we talked about in the description that are there now. We talked about vidIQ, phenomenal tool, all the AI stuff that they're putting out, really powerful. There's a couple of videos we linked up, Nolan's video. We learned today about linking shorts, back to its original long form video, or I suppose any video. It actually lets you do it to any video, which is kind of a fascinating hack of just maybe taking a viral short. I'm processing in real time. Steph, Drea, we should talk about this content team. Why not take your most viewed short and connect it to something? That idea popped into my head and I'm just remembering it now. 2 weeks ago, I did the silver play button short because I got like this. So I completely stopped uploading on a channel for 3 years and I still got a silver play button. It's kind of blown up. I was like, it wasn't actually a part of a bigger video, but I'm like, we should link it to some video. Like what video should we link it to? At least just to test, and we'll always be here to report back to you. But with that, the last thing is today at 4, in just a couple hours, I am going live. Drea, what's the link? What is the link that we share? I know it could be like Tube Masterclass or like free YouTube class or whatever. I'm going to be talking specifically about how I turned $130 into over $19,000 with one video. It sounds hypey. It sounds like some sketchy guru online. And I am absolutely aware that different things that are put out there that I could fall into that world, but I'm deeply passionate that if you look under the surface, you see that our biggest value is integrity, transparency, authenticity, and backing real case studies up with real data and showing you the real granular things we've been able to achieve so you can do the same. And so it's a very powerful class. I'm going to break down that whole story and how you can apply it. And actually on September 19th, I'm teaching it live. It's more important now than, getting ready for fourth quarter, holiday shopping, all that kind of stuff is a very strategic time to be watching this class. Again, that's going to be free. And I'm sure Drea's hitting Slack up and whatnot, looking for whatever link so we can share that with you. And I'll let you know about what that is in a second. But I'm super excited about that. And we got green tea out here. Ziad sipping green tea. Appreciate you, Liam. I joined late, so I have to catch the replay. The beginning of today's episode was pretty fire. I felt like I could have communicated it a little bit better. Hashtag VRA Elite. Yeah. Good to see you busy with dogs. I love it. And we'll get you the link here in just a second. That will, as you hear us maybe talk about our process a little bit too, that could be one of those things, future-wise, Steph and Drea, that as we look at an episode today, like on Coffee with Cannell and the marketing calendar that's coming out, that could just be kind of a part of our show notes. You're seeing behind the scenes as I'm kind of processing some of these things. But we have a lot happening at Think Media. And so it's kind of exciting, like a lot of different moving parts. And so we're learning, constantly trying to build the systems of like, I'm live at this time, at this place with this link and all of that kind of stuff. And so she's looking it up and we'll get it added to the description as well. And I wonder, I know where I can find it. I bet Tyler posted it on our community tab. And if we roll over here, I think because he pulled this picture of me from Miami. What do you know about that right there? What do you know about? That's my mood right now. I want to be in this situation. I'm in the Pacific Northwest. It's not warm outside. Wishing I was back in Miami. And freetubeclass.com is the link. And so Drea will get that in the description, and I think I can post it here in the live chat. So that I will be live. I'll be doing more Q&A, and I'm going to be there in literally 3 hours. Maybe I'm going to try to take a nap, but I'm all caffeinated, so that's probably not going to work. Try to reset my energy. Maybe I'm going to go on a walk at the beach in Miami. Just a 6-hour flight away. All right. I just dropped freetubeclass.com. And as we land the plane, do you think the senior co-living niche is too small? I would point you to, I don't know if you're a part of our niche finder program already. But I would say that makes me ask a lot of questions. Is it even a niche? What's the promise? People, how to do it? Who's searching? Who's the target audience? What are the next 100 video ideas for that? Why would someone keep coming back and watching? What I would say is, like, I've got a friend who has like a profitable, like, search-based blog with information for like senior living. I think it was called housingforseniors.com or something. And not only was it a great service, I was helping a lot of people, but it was an extremely lucrative business. But it wasn't a YouTube channel in the sense of like being a YouTube creator and having like an ongoing channel that like seniors to subscribe to. Are you also thinking about like, who's the audience? People who are maybe trying to find housing for a senior, how to thrive in co-living, So you've got a lot of questions to refine, and those would be the kind of questions that we really walk you through in our niche finder program. If that sounds interesting to you, if not, just the tips I gave you there, I think could be super relevant for identifying that. And no matter what you end up deciding, I would say that, yeah, we'll get the show notes and the resources, come back to this episode, and you can research that niche finder program, or just check out the full macro video ranking academy where we cover that and so much more. Coffee with Cannell. Smash like. My name is Sean Cannell, rhymes with YouTube channel. I will be back, I think, in 2 weeks for another episode just like this. So definitely subscribe, turn on notifications, and I will see you on the Think Media podcast, I hope, because that happens twice a week. So I'll see you on the Think Media podcast. Peace.